Hello, heroes. Joe Smith here. The Joe Smith News Network. Been reporting on news, current events, news commentary. Doing some interviews for, something like close to 10 years, 8 to 10 years now. I forget. I actually have to look it up, but actually starting to get a lot more subscribers. So thank you, all the new subscribers, for checking me out. I'll admit right now, my videos are not the greatest. They're raw, unedited. I think there's only been one video in history that was edited, and that's when, what was the name? Was it Ed, the old tech guy or something? Or I forget his name. He's a friend of the channel at the time, but hadn't heard from him for a few years. And we kind of did each other some favors for that. He was one of the guests I interviewed on the After Dark series, and then after that, he edited one of my videos for me. But otherwise, my videos suck. They're unedited, unrehearsed, no script, because I don't have time for all that stuff. I don't know how to do all that stuff. I'm just here to say it as it is. But yesterday or last night or whatever, so a YouTube video, and it's similar to what I've been seeing a lot of lately. You got like the millennials and Gen Z and what is it, Gen Alpha now starting to pop up. I don't know how old Gen Alpha is or where now, if they're just still little kids, or if they're getting to their teens yet or what. I don't understand all that stuff. I'll be honest with you up front now. But Gen Z and the millennials keep complaining that when adjusted for inflation, they have it worse off, or they have a harder time, or stuff's more expensive now than it was like 40 or 50 years ago for Gen X or the boomers. Especially the boomers. They keep complaining about the boomers, which would have been my parents. I keep having these Gen X and millennials, or not Gen X, but millennials and Gen Z call me a boomer. It's like, no, boomers for my parents. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's like a year or two off from being a millennial myself. Okay? I'm not that old. I might look that old, but I'm not that old. My little sister was a millennial. I just barely Gen X by like a year. But this guy, I don't know if he was a millennial or Gen Z. I mean, they all kind of look alike. He might have been about in the middle. I'm not going to mention his name. Not going to mention his channel or anything. I'm not trying to start a YouTube war against anyone. Not trying to call no one out. Not trying to call anyone out here. But he was saying that when like adjusted for inflation, college nowadays is like 10 or 13 times more expensive, and the medium house price is 10 or 15 times more expensive or something, because like 50 years ago the medium house price was like 30,000, and now it's like 500,000 or something he was claiming. I forget the exact number, so don't quote me on the exact numbers he posted. And like I said, I'm not going to I'm not even going to try and quote his exact numbers. And I'm not even going to mention his channel or him by name or anything. And I don't even know if the numbers he was claiming were right or not. I didn't take the time to Google them, so I don't know how accurate his report was, right? I'm just reporting my opinion here, so this is my opinion. It might not be actual factual news. This is an opinion segment here. So, Corporal, this is an opinion segment here. Go back to fishing Lake Avalon. But he's complaining about the median housing prices being so much more compared to inflation and wage increases, and then also the college prices being so much more compared to inflation and wage increases. Well, first of all, back then, 50 years ago or more, hardly anyone went to college in the first place because they couldn't afford it. They grew up on a farm and they got enough work on the farm and started working on the farm. And they kept working on the farm into adulthood. That's how my relatives did. That's how all my family did. My dad took like 2 years at the University of Northern Iowa. I did 3 years at the local community college while I was in the Guard. So I did more college than anyone else in my family growing up. And my dad was actually the first in the family on his side to do a college. And my mom or her brother or 3 sisters or parents or grandparents, none of them ever did in college. I just grew up on a farm. None of my other relatives on my mom's side ever did in college. They all grew up on a farm and did farm work all their lives. Dad's relatives, they learned a trade in high school in full tech class. That's how people did back then in Iowa. You either grew up on a farm or you continued your family's farm, or you learned a trade in full tech class. Or you want to work for a local factory or warehouse or something. Or you worked at the grocery store or a local restaurant waiting tables or washing dishes for low pay. That's just how it always was. So he's complaining about how college prices are so much more now when adjusted for inflation than back then. And assuming his numbers are correct, and they may or may not be, but even if they are correct, well, the reason why they are so much more expensive nowadays is because the federal government, which I think it was Obama, I may be incorrect in reporting this, so don't come arrest me, Corporal, if I incorrectly here. But when was it when the federal government decided that they would take over the student loan process and take that away from banks to make sure that everyone got qualified? Yeah, several years ago, before Trump ever became president the first time, it was probably during the Obama years, federal government took over the student loan process, and every student loan was backed by the federal government. Banks no longer had anything to say with it. Prior to that, like during Bush and like Clinton and the other Bush and Reagan, and even back before that, to get a student loan, you had to go through a bank. And then that bank would take a look at your GPA, your test scores, and your school history, and how many days you missed, and test scores, if I didn't say that already, and you know, all that stuff. And then they would also ask you, like, what kind of degree you're trying to pursue, and what kind of job opportunity you think that degree field has. And then they would compare it to what kind of degree field that degree, or what kind of job opportunities that degree field had in the local community or surrounding towns around the county, or several counties. Or they would ask you, like, well, there's no jobs like that around here. Are you planning to move to Ames or Des Moines or somewhere else, and after you get done with the college or that. And so there's actually some, interviewing and thought process that went into it before they approve people for a student loan. Nowadays, the government is like, oh, you want a student loan so you can get art history degree or a taco history degree. That's actually mentioned in a recent John Stossel video. Some college in Kentucky, you could get like a taco education or taco history degree, which might actually be a prerequisite of working at Taco Bell. So, I mean, if you want to work at Taco Bell the rest of your life, you might want to go to that college and take that taco class. But now it's like the government just loans all this money out to anyone and everyone and doesn't give a crap if they're willing to repay it or are able to repay it or not. Because the student loans are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. So even if you file bankruptcy, well, you still got to pay your student loan back to the government. And I mean, it used to be to that point before, Biden became the resident of the United States of America. Like that one guy I had referred to him last 4 years on his channel. Now that Trump's president, maybe he'll actually start making people repay them or take their property, take their brand new Mercedes or Lexus they drive around in. Because that's the reason why these people want to repay them, because they're living like they're rich. They're making big bucks at big buck jobs. They're like nurses or doctors or lawyers now, and making six figures. And they want people that didn't go to college to foot the bill with higher taxes. Which is BS. That ain't fair. And then this YouTube guy, again, not going to mention his name. I can't even think of offhand, so even if I did want to say it, I'd forget what his name was. But it's also talking about housing prices, or the median housing price in America is like $500,000 or $600,000 a year or something like that. Which was like some 13 or 15 times higher. Which inflation is only like 3 times higher, he was claiming, or something. And wage increases are only like 3 times higher, something like that. That's what he was claiming with his numbers. Which again, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't check his numbers or anything. I don't even know if his numbers are correct. That's why I'm not really mentioning any exact numbers that he reported on. I'm just reporting my opinion here. But thing is, houses 15 years ago were like 1,000 square foot or less. And the median house price in 80% of the country nowadays is $100K or less. But because of the housing prices in California, Oregon, Washington, New York City, and New England area, and Denver area, and some other large cities around the country, those housing prices disproportionately affect the housing prices of the majority of the country. I mean, you can get houses in Iowa, even in Des Moines and Fort Dodge, for like $50K or less, $30K even, past a couple years. There's a YouTuber by the name of Nick Johnson. He's like a realtor. He travels the country, does videos showing off houses and what it's like to live in these different cities around the country. He was here in Northwest Arkansas a couple years ago. He was in Des Moines, Iowa. He was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Sioux City, Iowa, Fort Dodge, Iowa. And when he was in Fort Dodge and Des Moines, he showed like some 50 to 100 houses that sold in the previous 12 months for less than $50K in both cities. And Des Moines is a real nice city. I mean, Fort Dodge is, I mean, it's okay. I lived there for 6 months, actually. They have their bad parts of town with, usual suspects living there. But I mean, most of town is pretty nice. They have a few trucking companies there and some nice parks and bike trails and stuff. But I mean, Fort Dodge is actually considered like one of or the worst cities in Iowa, and Nick Johnson even commented in his videos like, if this is the worst that Iowa has to offer, it's like, these guys are living a dream here. It's like, let's take these Iowans to some of these other cities I've been to, like, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, or that. I mean, yeah, even the worst Iowa has to offer is probably a pretty decent place to live. I mean, and Des Moines is a really nice city. Lots of affordable housing in it or around it. I mean, you might have to do a little bit of work or remodeling or that, or updating. Might have to do some painting or do a new floor or remodel a bathroom or something, or maybe a new roof. But I mean, some of the stuff you can kind of do over time here and there. And if you know how to do it yourself, you can save a ton of money. You can get something for $50K or $40K, fix it up, and then turn around and sell it for $150K or that. So it's not that, I mean, the way I see it nowadays, college is a waste of time. You're better off learning a trade, or going to a trade school or welding school or something, become a mechanic or a carpenter, or going to construction or something. Screw universities and colleges. If you want to go to college, go to like your local community college or something, or join the Army or the National Guard or that, and then maybe you could get like your community college paid for, like I did. Or trade school or whatever you want to do. And plus you can learn more skills while you're in the service. But I mean, if you're planning on taking out a 6-figure loan to go to a 4-year university, or go 6 years, get a master's degree or PhD, or 8 years, or how many years, you better be planning on becoming a doctor or a lawyer. Anything else, you're wasting your time and your money. And the reason why housing prices keep going up in some of these areas, because of regulations. Like California, you got to have everything built to mudslide regulations, earthquake regulations, hurricane regulations, fire regulations, this and that. I mean, this guy on YouTube that I used to talk to a few years ago, I have her from Tennessee, is just trying to build a shed in his backyard to where he could make a little workshop out of it. And that became like a 5 or 6 year ordeal that he has spent like $50,000 on. get all the permits and inspections and make sure it's earthquake proof and hurricane proof and tornado proof and fire proof and mudslide proof and orange man bad proof and whatever. He was telling me it's just how stupid the process was. And it's like, I could build that for like $1,000 over a weekend in Northwest Arkansas. You had to spend like 10 to 20 grand or 30 grand or I don't know, 50 grand. I forget how much. You had to just spend like tons and tons of money because these inspectors were all charging like $1,000 or $2,000 each or something. And then all the money I had to pay on permits and crap. And it's like, well, that's why your housing on the left coast there, Washington, Oregon, California, is so damn expensive because the liberals and all their goddamn regulations. Plus the high demand. And companies can't find employees. You gotta pay a crackhead like $200 an hour just to get a crackhead to work for you. If you want to get someone decent work for you, you gotta pay them like $1,000 an hour to do construction work. Otherwise, they rather just go ahead and French fries through a window at Taco Bell or something. But the reason why these companies and builders are building bigger, more expensive houses than what they had 50 years ago is because more and more and more Americans are richer than they are 50 years ago. Or were 50 years ago. There's a ton more wealth in America. People that were poor 50 years ago are millionaires now. And they want bigger houses. They don't want to live in their 800 square foot shack with no indoor heating or AC anymore. Or plumbing or whatever. I mean, my mom grew up in a little tiny farmhouse. Probably like something like 800 feet with a cast iron stove in the living room where they cooked on and that heated house in the winter in Iowa when it's like 20 or 30 below zero sometimes in the winter out in the middle of the open fields and no AC. Well, I guess later on they did get a window AC in their the grandpa and grandma's bedroom or whatever. Had shit in an outhouse. That's like 150 or so feet from the house. Either that or a bucket on the porch if you didn't want to go walking through the snow to the outhouse in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. when it's like 20 below zero and snowing and 2 feet of snow on the ground. And nowadays these houses have like gold toilets. These houses are like mansions. They're like 10, 15,000 square feet. Like 10 bedrooms with a bathroom for each one. I've done work to some of them over the years on the side. It's just insane. They have houses like this being built back then. I mean, imagine back then it's like an average house now. But like I said, that's only because more and more and more Americans are making more money and have more wealth and want bigger houses. And that's why builders keep building bigger houses. And that's why the median national house price has gone up. Even though if you exclude those mansions, the median house price is still only about 100 grand. And very affordable. For people that actually work more than 4 hours a day. It's like Oprah said in her comment that this guy was forget if I mentioned earlier, but this guy showed a clip of Oprah, and I don't like Oprah, and don't agree with her, but this one comment I actually did agree with. She was like, well, Gen Z and millennials, if you only want to work 4 hours a day, well, you're going to struggle. And it's like, well, I wish I could get Gen Z and millennial to work at least 4 hours a day. I have trouble getting them to work more than 1 hour a day. They want to work like maybe 30 minutes a day. I have trouble getting to work more than 4 hours a week, to be honest. It seems like as long as they make $100 or $200 a week, they're happy. They keep telling me, it's like, well, I get Section 8 housing and food stamps and disability and WIC and welfare and this and that, and if I make more than $200 a week, then I'll lose all my benefits from my other job. Other job? What the F you're talking about? Oh, you mean your government benefits? Like, you don't work for the government. Those are handouts. That's not a job. Those are handouts. That's another thing. People past 10 years or something, they could complain. It's like, well, these people have to rely on government handouts because Walmart and McDonald's and Amazon won't pay them a living wage. Like, no, they work those minimum wage jobs because they don't want to lose their government handouts. Because they make too much money to lose them, so they want to go. They don't want to go make $100 an hour, $130 an hour for me. They don't want to go make $100 an hour welding. They don't want to make $80 an hour being an electrician. They don't want to go make $500,000 a year being a doctor or $1 million a year being a lawyer, because then they'll lose their handouts. Okay, well, this video's been gone on long enough, and there's probably nobody even watching anymore at this timestamp, so those of you that might actually still be watching, sorry, it just kind of went on to a random ramble. I was trying to rehearse in my mind, get some points, and I think got many of the ones I wanted to convey across, but I was trying to do it about half the time, but like I said, I just really suck at making videos. So those of you that do still watch me after all these years, thank you so much. Joe Smith, signing out.